What's going on, friends? Another week has passed and another week of my art life has gone by in an instant. It feels like everything's moving so fast, so I'm going to try and keep you up to date on what's happening in everything, in all aspects, sketching, working on my stories, all the kinds like that. If you're interested, for the last 20 days or so, I compiled a list of my top 20 albums. If you check on Twitter, it is crazy. The amount of memories and stuff that I've remembered over the years, all the friends, the concerts I've seen with them, and kind of everything that built this top 20 list. I will put a link in the description to the tweet that starts the whole thread of 20 albums. I took a snapshot of everything from the album covers, what I wrote on Facebook for that day, and then some consolatory picture and whatnot pertaining to band and something, maybe a concert that I picked. So yeah, I'm stoked on how that turned out. It was great just thinking about all that cool stuff. Going into 2020, we are doing things a little bit crazy. If you know me, you know that rest is for the weak, I believe. I think that's how the saying goes. But so I'm doing things a little bit differently. I am doing sketches, daily sketches yet, in my notebook. And this is a little weird to describe, so I'm going to try my best. I will start out taking, like I've been doing for the last couple years, I have an album full of pictures that I'm just going to be drawing from, but I am sketching it first. I am just doing a quick, rough sketch, just to check it out, see if I can't master the lines and whatnot. But what I'm doing new this year is I'm actually taking these, not these actually, but the actual pictures themselves, putting them on my iPad, and then I am just, it feels very cheap to me, but I'm not doing it for the drawing practice per se, but I'm trying to just get a better feel for digital. So that's what I'm doing. I am taking the original photos and putting them in an iPad. Here, I will throw up the video right here. And this is probably going to be about 3 minutes worth of video because every time lapse is about half a minute. But essentially, I'm taking them into Photoshop, tracing the lines for the most part, and then I'm dropping that off and doing the color work. Like, I'm just experimenting with different brushes and whatnot, which is such a cool thing because I think it was like the third or fourth day. Actually, I remember exactly what it was. The sixth day. The sixth day is the day I found the brush that I freaking love. I think it's like the Gel Sinky brush, but it has this very fluid line to it. It's similar to what I would say ink masters are able to get with just the regular ink brush, like a sable brush and ink. It's the look that I've been trying to obtain, but with the other brushes that I've tried, not necessarily been able to hit. So this whole process is very cool because in and out, I can usually do it within 15 to 20 to a half hour at the most. And that's experimenting with new brushes, working on it, because I know I have a lot of work ahead of me with the digital stuff, because it feels very much like I'm back where I started when I got back into daily drawing 4 years ago. So if I'm way back there, I've just got to get a better feel for it. So I think the outlining stuff and putting the details that I want to work on down so I can go forward and trying to kind of develop my style. I can see that happening for sure right now, especially with the finding my right brush and experimenting with some of these other ones. Procreate just had a massive update and added so many brushes. I'm hoping to get better at digital work, so then I can move on to doing animation probably next year. I've got a couple of cool ideas that I really want to get down. Quarter series is one of those, but I'll talk about that later down the line. But another cool thing is during the weekends, I am taking time to draw some of those weekly stories that I've been working on, as well as I'm setting aside Sundays just to work on stuff that's going to be meant to be working on the monthly painting. And this is what I have for this first one. I'm going to be redoing the mummy's head. I also have to redo his lady friend's face. But this hand, I hate this. I did probably a half hour trying to find the right hand. And I can't find one that looks how I wanted it to look, to give it the depth, to show it that she's behind him. But I did find this cartoon-esque looking hand, and I think I'm going to work on something like that. So probably next week I'm going to be refining this a little bit more, maybe pulling it into the digital, trying some stuff with that. But yeah, I have 3 different notebooks of stuff that I'm trying to do. This is kind of like my concept stuff, also where I work on the quarter series stories, and then if I'm out and about, I will even sketch like random things that are happening on. I have a slew of notebooks now because I put out this call because I was looking for these notebooks that I found a couple years ago. Had bought a giant stash of them and then ran out. Other people have been looking for me and they have found some, but the paper, I don't know if this show up, but the paper is so thin that with my main sketchbook that I use every day, I have to use a folded over piece of scrap marker paper just to keep it from going through and cutting into the next page. So it's kind of a bummer, but also I have such a stockpile of notebooks now that I gotta use them up somehow. So that's what I'm planning on doing with those, and I hope you dig it. I'm going to be showing off weekly recaps probably on my Instagram, or at least every 10 days. I'm sticking with the same size every day, so then when I post them, they'll all be the same thing. But I'm going to get 10 days of up and down, vertical, and then 10 days of horizon. So they aren't necessarily going to be in order, but there will be 10 digitals and 10 digitals once I get them compiled. So look forward to that on my Instagram. I don't know if yeah, links down below to my Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram. They're all same user, Samurai Ox, so easy to find me. And then let's talk about some comics. I read, starting the week, I'm trying to do two trades a week. Just get caught up on my entire backlog of stuff. And this week I chose, I read the Saga Compendium. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first of all, the first one of the year is Dollface. I showed this off a few weeks ago. I like the style of the character because it's very reminiscent of my puppets that I use for I Never Forgot. This is a fun little story. It's from the same guys that do Zombie Tramp and a couple other things, but like this is, I think it's 4 issues long. I had a lot of fun with this. It is a little bit raunchy. And the art's just a little bit not quite so stylized that the cover would lead you to believe, but it's a fun little story. It's kind of this weird science witch gets transported from the past to this 3D printed doll body, and she has like a team of people like giving her a network internet connection type thing to find these witches that she's out to hunt, because these witches were trying to sacrifice her to some Dark Lord back in the past, blah blah blah. But they killed her sisters, and yeah, just it's a ridiculously fun story. Just something I kind of needed at the time. But this is trade number 1. Trade number 2 was Blue Estate, Volume 1. And it's kind of this mobbish story. Let me see. I have it digital, so it's kind of hard to share with, but it's got this stylized design. It kind of looks like a cross between Jim Mafood. He's worked on Tank Girl and such, but he has a very sketchy, like, he'll draw one, any drawing that he draws is usually a one-line drawing where he will go around and do all the details with never lifting the pen off the page. But it's got a very that-esque look crossed with like Daniel Warren Johnson like brush strokes. So it's very cool. I do dig it. I will probably pick up the other 2 volumes at some point in the future. I'm waiting for them to come up on sale, but also the first volume, or I can't find the series on Comixology right now, so because I'd love to just purchase them digitally and just have them like that, but it's not a one and done. Like the first volume is a third of the story, so I'm definitely gonna have to finish it or get the other volumes for the entire story, which reminds me of my own story, so definitely looking forward to that. But the behemoth to get caught up on last year, I skipped a few weeks because I knew I was going to be reading this. This is 9 trades worth of Saga, and just getting through it was a massive undertaking. I had to do 3 trades a day for 3 days, which was massive. But this story, if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. You can get this on In Stock Trades for about $30, I think it is. And at that price, for 54 comics worth for $30, you're essentially losing money by not getting this. But I was able to pick up on some things reading it so back to back. I realized that Fiona Staples has these splash pages to begin and end each issue, which is such a cool way of doing things. I also very much appreciate the way she does the narration. The narration is the younger girl. There have been things that I've noticed in daily life that have transferred from this. I want to have a full-length discussion. We're going to be talking about the first issue that you can get from Image First for Comic Book Club in a few weeks. That'll probably work its way into the first issue trade, and at some point I'd love to cover this entire thing. But I think I'm going to be doing a comic review video of why you should be reading Saga. This is hands down one of my favorite stories because it deals with real stuff. I'll be having a reading list link and like thoughts and how I feel on things going on Twitter. I will throw that link down below as well. This was its own thread, because each trade I read, I wanted to comment about how they explored different aspects of like daily life with each trade. It's such an unrivaled story because of the risks that they're taking, but also the designs and things that they're trying to explore with all of this. But such a dope story. Essentially, what the story is if Romeo and Juliet wouldn't have killed themselves and their life went on its merry way after he had been exiled and she had faked her death. It kind of picks up from there, and like that's the best way I've come to describe it. I'm super stoked. I'm not sure what I'm reading for next week yet, but just stopped at the comic shop. Got this Turtles. I think this is just a one-shot free Marvel Spotlight. But I'm super stoked for this one. It's called Unsacred by Merker and Dollface. I believe she's a French artist, but like she has these really sweet risque drawings. She has a couple different series she's working on. She has Mercy coming out by Image in March, and I'm pretty excited about that. So that's what I'm definitely going to be reading for next week for sure, because I just want to get them done with and check them out. So if you haven't been following me on social media, me and my friends have started a new D&D group. It is awesome. Our first get together was so much fun. It was like 3 hours or so, but I am a night elf, female druid healer of the group. I figure I have some pretty good experience on how people need to be taken care of, and I have a few meatheads that I got to take care of, so that's a lot of fun. I think we're going to be editing down the adventures, seeing what we can use, what we can't, but it was so much fun. I'm looking forward to future adventures with these guys. Yeah, love it. Also, for RandM this week, we watched 1917 Underwater, and Luke talked me into seeing The Grudge. You can see like all these new details. The January calendar is up. New goals for the year, how I'm doing things. Nothing on the goals accomplished yet, but I'm sure that'll be filling up before I can even start to talk about it. But other than that, got some art hall stuff. So let's go over kind of that stuff. Got a late Christmas present from a couple friends. Some markers, some Master Setch ink alcohol markers, colorless blenders, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to checking that out, because like Master Setch is like the in-between step between like the bargain bin like brand, the store brands, and then the Copics. So I'm hoping these are some pretty good stuff. I was looking into Arteza, but those look like right between like Sharpies and Copics, so I don't think I want to go down that trap. But these liners look awesome, and I'm definitely gonna check them out. As well as a mixed media pad. I'm stoked about this, because out of everything I was just telling you about not having good paper, it's good to have paper that I can experiment on that size. But I also got about $100 worth of art supplies because I needed them. Giving you a brief rundown. I had to get some new dry erase markers because my nephews ruined mine playing on my giant whiteboard. Also my giant whiteboard, if you are paying attention to my Patreon last week, I showed me basically outlining the quarter series. I will get to that in just a little bit, but also trying these Blick alcohol markers. These were a 24 set for like $15, so I was like, you know what, I'll roll the dice on them. Also needed some new tape. I sometimes tape off pages so I'm not like when I paint for sure, so I have borders. I wanted to try out Copic's brush pen. What's funny is I do have the Pentel pocket brush, but I also have this one that I very much love, and this is the Copic multiliner. But this is a small brush, and this thing is phenomenal, but this thing is not this multiliner. So I've got to figure out where I ordered these from because I want more of these. This one's an $8 pen. I think this was maybe like a $5 pen. But it does have a replaceable marker for the middle of it. An ink cartridge, I suppose. But that's $3, so we'll see if that works out well. If it's going to take the place of my Pentel pocket brush for the most work that I do with. But alongside that, your boy has graduated and we're using actual sable brushes now. I'm pretty stoked to be inking issue 11 with these bad boys, so they weren't cheap either. I definitely thought it was time to take the chance and upgrade. Got a couple more portfolio books. These are great for holding sketches. I feel like I've gotten so many sketches lately that warrants the second book. I also decided to try some Strathmore Bristol, these smaller pads, but this has the vellum surface. It's not quite like my... Here, I'll show you. So these are the new sketchbooks that I'm working on. It's similar to my Artist B marker pages, but and then a big portfolio for the issue pages. I also got 2 pads of Bristol. This is for the easier pages in issue 11. I had about 4 pages and I'm running out, but this is for the reasonable, easy pages that I don't want to use the good paper on, which is the Bristol vellum surface. Like these are so dope. It's a $45 pad of paper too for 24 pages. The paper is so gorgeous. Like the ink from my Copics soak into it and they love it. Like they want to be all about the vellum surface, but for $45 a pad, it's not worth wasting on the easier pages, which is why I've got the other ones for that. So going forward, let's see, January is here. Now it's time to get busy working on issue 11. I have started work on a few of those pages. Here, let me show you real quick. So these are what I was talking about. They have the blue line. I had 4 pages left of my last pad, so it was time to order some new ones. But you can see that I have begun work on issue 11, and I'm stoked how this is turning out. I've got a little bit of work to do, erase the pencils, and then I'll scan that in, because I'm actually going to be digitally lettering this on my iPad this time around, so pretty stoked on that. Looking forward to all of that, but before I get too far into that, I've got this guy to ink. This is for issue 10, but this is my phosphor cover. I'm sure you've been seeing earlier when I was talking about some other stuff, me inking the phosphor cover. Got some time lapses done for that. So I'm pretty excited to do that, because with the work that I've been putting in on digital work. I've been trying out some new brushes and figuring out some things, and there's going to be this sweet nebula background type thing. So speaking about quarter series, I had this epiphany this week where last week I was all about it. Like, I am so into the quarter series and all the work that I'm doing on it that I wanted to put it at the forefront. But I realized that I have to get quarter series work done because I want to be done with that at the middle of the year. And that's going to take a lot of work. So quarter series is essentially being put on the back burner. I know I was talking about it last week, and I was saying that it'll be jumping up to the second tier. I won't be doing that because I'm not going to be working on it extensively like I was hoping to do. Probably one of these months coming up, like March or April, I'll dedicate all the daily sketches to getting caught up on the weekly writings. But with that being said, I think that's a great place to stop. I'm still going to be showing some of that stuff on the tier 1 of my Patreon if you're interested in finding out more about the quarter series. But I'm going to start revealing issue 11 page by page over there from a $1 tier if you want to jump on there. It's going to be cool seeing those pages come together with my digital lettering as I learn that process as well. So thanks guys for your Patreon over there, for all your support over here. I've been loving the comments lately. I'm so glad to be back and showing you everything that's going on in my life. I better shut my yapper because nearly a half hour of just talking about what's been going on in a week, you can tell how much is going on actually. So hope all your art endeavors are doing well, and look forward to all your progress of this new year. Peace and pineapple, and love you guys.
All the times that I could beg you please, all the times that you felt insecure, when I leave my burdens at the door, 'cause I'm on the outside, I'm looking in, I can see through you, see your true colors, 'cause inside you're ugly like me, I can see through